Salute. Hola. Konnichiwa. Was Guten Tag.
Oh God, you're just going to do them all this time.
This is our second intro because I feel
Rachel felt she offended French people
and
gender fluid people.
Which I am fine with gender fluidity. It got derailed and I was like,
I thought it was funny. It wasn't
over.
Inappropriate at all.
I'm hyper paranoid about offending people because.
Well, yeah, but they know us.
Yeah,
they know we love everyone.
True. But I don't want to come across as I don't care. Or
it was in reference to a water beast. I think they would be okay with that.
I just want to let you guys know I love you and I love all of your choices and I am okay with all of your choices. But anyway, I was saying that I intro the podcast and I generally do it every week and I am happy to do it because Kayla feels more comfortable when I kind of start things out and get the ball rolling.
Because my voice annoys me when I'm not actually talking about something important.
But I get sick of myself saying the same things all the time. So I was Googling different, ways to say hello in different languages. So we're covering all our bases and we're very worldly here.
We like to think we are.
As two housewives who never leave the house. Yes, we're very worldly.
Introverted housewives too.
I watch a lot of movies and shows, guys. I'm very educated.
Oh yeah, that's experience.
Anyway, hope you guys are having a great week. We just recorded our true crime podcast, and if you haven't, please go sign the petition for Alyssa Attorney. I want to remind you guys there that is ongoing. Also, we are doing a giveaway. We talked about it in last week's episode, and we will continue to talk about it up until the time where the giveaway closes.
You're not even going to want the t-shirt by the time we're done with this.
Yes, you will. It's great.
It is great, but we wanted to give several months because sometimes the reviews take a while to come in, and then we know that we're growing, so there's new people joining us and listening every day. So we just wanted to have time for people.
Yeah, we've got personal goals in our head that we kind of are going by. So that's kind of why we have this big of a gap. But do you want to explain the giveaway again?
Sure. It's a t-shirt I designed. It is limited edition. There will only be a couple of these ever printed. Mostly because Rachel and I were oh my God, that's a cool tee and we want one. But we're going to give 3 away to you guys. All you got to do is go to iTunes or Stitcher and leave an honest review. We're not asking for 5 stars. We're not asking for anything. We want to know what you actually think.
We are very sensitive and get our feelings hurt easily. So, I just want to throw that out there. But yes, honest, make sure it's what you truly feel.
But I'm open to constructive criticism. If we can improve, then we can improve, you know?
That's true.
We're always growing.
We are.
And learning.
We are. As a podcast and as people.
Yes.
And in our friendship.
Yes. So if you guys want to get in on that, the last day to submit a review is September 29th. And we will be announcing the winner on October 1st because we want to give those reviews a chance to come in. So we're just going to take the username that you put on Stitcher or iTunes and pick from those and then announce them. Probably we'll do all 3 social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then you guys get in contact with us and we'll get your shirt size and your address and all that jazz. So.
Yeah. I was going to do it again.
What were you going to do again?
And all that jazz.
And I did it again. Now I know it's from Chicago.
You know what? I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to throw out a crazy goal for us all to do as a community.
Okay.
I would love to see our Facebook group. What are we at right now?
We're nearing 200.
You know what?
Facebook and Twitter have exploded this past week.
We're so happy to meet all you new friends.
We are.
But yeah, you know what? I bet we could get up to 300 members by the end of the month. Meaning end of August.
I was going to say
that's
2 days
literally
away
2 days.
from August.
No, end of August.
So let's say by the beginning of September, September 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we could do that.
Yeah, we're growing. If you are friends with people that you think might be interested in our niche, share our podcast, share it on any platform that you listen to us, but share our Facebook group too because we have so much fun there. And
yeah, we do.
We laugh a lot.
Yeah, and then also if you guys find anything you think is interesting or you want us to investigate, send us that because I have started a list of things that you guys have thought, hey, I wonder, and send it to us. So do that. And send us listener stories. If you have had a paranormal or a true crime experiment, hopefully not, true crime experience.
I'd be open to listening to experiments. Fine with that.
If it's true crime, though, I mean,
it's dark. Maybe not. Paranormal.
Yeah. Send them to our email, goodlucksleepingpodcast@gmail.com, and they will be featured in our next Listener Stories episode, which this is a Listener Stories episode as well.
It is. Before we get into that, though, we found out something special.
I don't know what she's about to say.
We found out something very, very special about our personalities and how they fit together.
Oh, this was my idea.
Like a puzzle.
Yes. You've all heard of it right now. It's the popular Enneagram test.
Mm-hmm. You probably follow an account on Instagram.
Yeah.
That shows you all of the characteristics of your special number.
Now, I will say, okay, so my mom and dad literally texted me last night and were like, oh my God, we got into the Enneagram test. Your dad's a 9. And I was like, yeah, I know. And Mom
Clearly.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I don't know her dad.
Mom was like, have you ever taken that? And I'm like, I've known I'm a 2 for like ever. You know? So I told her, I was like, you're a 2. And she's like, I don't think I'm a 2. I'm like, you're a 2. And so anyway, I was sending her like all this info on it. And when Rachel and I talked about what we were, we realized why we are such a like peanut butter jelly sandwich
dynamic
situation.
Duo. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, you are.
I'm a 1, wing 2.
1 wing 2. And I am a 2 wing 1. So we're literally like,
you guys,
yin and yang.
Isn't that so cute?
We're adorable.
Cute.
But it makes sense because Rachel is like on top of stuff and a very dynamic person. And she's very good about like not letting things wound her as bad. And I am like more of a details person. I get down and I'm working behind the scenes and making things run. And then when I do get wounded, you know, I can help Rachel see like, okay, maybe we need to work on this area, which Rachel would be oblivious to or something, you know? And so it's just, we mesh so well. And this podcast was like perfect for us.
Yes. Like we said in our last one, I mean, this is a dream for us. So thank you for helping to make that happen. And I just love it because it's grown our friendship and it probably wouldn't have happened.
And we're going to start, yes. And we're going to start a poll in our Facebook group. We want to know what Enneagram you guys are.
Yeah. I'll have to, I want to know what test you took.
Well,
we'll
like
talk
the
about
official one.
I just took like a fast one. So,
really?
Yeah.
Well, there's like a 14-page one.
Holy, that's going to peak. That's going to peak in sound. That is a lot of things that I would have to sit through. Wow.
It's very detailed though. And you learn a lot about yourself.
Okay, well, send me that one.
I will.
But I'm still going to say I'm 1 wing 2 even if it doesn't come out. All right, so listener stories today. Let's just jump into it. Let's hear what you guys have experienced, and Kayla's going to start us off.
So, this is actually from my good friend, Elisa. It's spelled like Alyssa, but if you call her that, she will kill you.
I would never do that.
Literally all night, she's been like, Elisa. Okay, so she says, Kayla knows me. We've been friends for a few years, like 7 years.
Very reiterating the point. That's great. I like that.
Yes. She was listening to our Angel podcast and thought that she would share her story with us.
Okay.
She said, when I was like 20 years old, I was in a rollover car accident. This man helped me get out of my car and sat me on the side of the road. While sitting there, a woman came up to me and sat with me. She gave me water and rubbed my back and told me everything was going to be okay. I don't even know when she left my side, but the entire time she was there, I was at peace. I was calm and collected. Thinking back on it now, I had an anxiety attack and started panicking, and during that time, the woman was nowhere to be found. So it was like as soon as she left, she started freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
The man who helped me gave his number to my mom so she could call and let him know I was okay. When she called to tell him I was okay, she asked if he knew who the woman was that sat with me. The man said there was not a woman with me.
Oh, wow.
It was just him.
Oh.
I got goosebumps and still do when I think about that. Me too, Elisa.
Yeah.
I walked out of that accident without a single scratch. And she actually attached a picture of her car accident for context, which we will put in the Facebook group.
Pulling it to see it closer. Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, I would say you had an angel watching over you, Elisa, because that is bad. Okay, so she said on a less positive side, she's had a few experiences. And Elisa is the person that, like, our group of friends, we will all sit around talking about paranormal experiences. And she's like, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want it to keep happening. But this happened, you know. So we've talked about these for many years. When she was like 9 or 10 years old, her aunt came to visit and was staying in her room. So she had to stay downstairs in her sister's room on an air mattress. One night, my cousins were all over and we started playing a game where we tried to scare each other. Classic sleepover game.
Sounds like a good time for me, actually.
Whenever you turned off the lights in their room, it was legitimately pitch black. So we would play scary music and bring the others in and then scare them. Well, that night when we went to bed, I had a dream, which I laugh at now, but in that moment, it terrified me. I had this dream that my aunt had given me a teddy bear that she named the Fallen Angel. When my mom picked me up from her house, I showed it to her and told her what it was named. Well, my mom freaks out and throws it out of our car in someone's yard, who runs out of their house and throws the stuffed animal into the street. I was mad at my mom for throwing away my stuffed animal, and she pulls out to our house, and on our porch, there's this man dressed in the worldly view of the devil.
What? This is all in the dream?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
My mom panicked and throws the car in reverse while he stands up and starts running in our direction. And then I wake up. I woke up shaking and breathing hard in the pitch black room. When I looked over to my side, I see this shadow figure of a man laying down but propped up on his arms staring at me.
Ooh.
And she started hearing scratching at the door. I just remember being in such terror that I couldn't move. I remember staying wide awake until my dad came to wake us up for the day.
Oh, wow.
When we lived in that same house, I would close my closet door at night. I was terrified of my closet. And then when I woke up, it would be open. And at first, I thought, okay, I must have forgotten to close it. So I made sure one night that I closed it. When I woke up, it was open about 3/4 of the way. So after that, I would wait till my parents went to bed, and then I would sleep on the couch. One morning, my dad caught me and asked me why I was on the couch. I told him about my closet and how when I slept in my room, I was always scared. My parents are Christians, and my dad decided to pray through my room and anoint it with oil. Great decision. Great decision.
Yes.
I never had an experience in that room again.
Oh, okay, good.
In my adult years, I've had a couple experiences. My most vivid experience is when I had a sleep paralysis moment. I actually think I have had several sleep paralysis experiences, but this one in particular is the one that stuck out the most. I was sleeping, and when I woke up, I had this feeling like something was sitting on my chest. I tried to sit up, but I couldn't move. I was trying to scream out so my husband would hear me, but I couldn't make any sound. I started trying to say Jesus, as I had this fear that a demon was sitting on my chest. I finally felt myself sit straight up, and I was screaming. Now, okay, her husband, Todd, is a streamer. He's actually very popular in our podcast group. He's such a great supporter.
And I was just going to say, I love you, Todd, but I didn't want it to sound weird. I just love you as a person because you are so supportive.
He streams on a gaming channel on Twitch. So he's streaming and she's in the background in her bed and just sits up and starts screaming.
Was he playing a scary game? It could have fit in.
No, I don't think so. He only has horror streams around October, I believe. My poor husband was sitting at his desk playing a video game, streaming on Twitch as well. It spooked him out so much that he quit his game and came to lay down with me. In that same house, our smoke detector randomly went off at 3 a.m. Oh, you know, gotta love that hour of night.
Got a big southern accent when you said that. Our smoke detector.
Well, I was sitting there thinking the same thing happened to me recently when I was having all those experiences. Yeah. The smoke detector would just go off in the middle of the night. My husband and I and our roommate all woke up and were trying to figure out why. There was no smoke smell. Nothing was on fire. It just randomly went off. Also in that house, this is probably more funny than scary, she says. My husband and I were sleeping and I woke up because I heard him talking. Well, he was dead asleep and talking in another language or gibberish, probably. Okay. But me being me, I reached my hand over on his chest and said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Just to make sure he wasn't possessed by a demon. If you've made it this far in my email, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's so cute.
No. Feel free to share, but maybe keep me anonymous.
Oh, whoops.
We don't read these beforehand, Elisa.
She'll be cool with it. It's all good.
I hope so.
I mean, I don't know her at all, personally.
Did I say Elisa? I meant Alyssa. Her name is Alyssa.
Yeah, yep. I'll just move on quickly to mine. Hello, my sleepy time mates. Love the podcast. My name is Sarah. I love all things horror and weird. To the weird paranormal-ish story. I grew up in a strict Japanese household with a mother who was a hardcore Catholic and a grandmother who was a hardcore Buddhist. Due to their influence, the rest of the family members, my father included, they were very passionately different about religion.
I can see how that would happen.
Clearly, yeah. My father's stance was, whatever, just do this. It makes your grandmother happy. As religiously indifferent and somewhat non-believer in ghosts, this one incident from my childhood still makes my head scratch. Besides being dragged to a weekly mass, I thought dragged was going to go into a paranormal avenue there, and I was a little nervous. Besides being dragged to a weekly mass, one thing we had to do was a Buddhist ritual, which every year all of us would write with traditional ink and a brush our names and our birthday on this special paper that my grandmother got from her temple. It was in the shape of a person. Think gingerbread man, cookie-shaped paper. We would then blow on it 3 times, and my grandmother will tuck it away or put it in a special baggie or do something specific with it. The idea of this, I'm gonna butcher this. Migawari Fudausen? I'm so sorry. Was that now it will become like a stand-in or a substitute when evil or misfortune was to strike.
Oh, that's creepy though.
Super kind of this. Yeah. Wow. I remember when I was about 5 or 6, I still lived in Japan and I was playing in a room by myself, probably reading or playing with my older brother's Transformers, when I clearly heard a child's voice say, "Come play with me."
No.
I looked around, but there was obviously no one around me. And then I heard again, this time with my name, "Sarah, come play with me." I told my mother that I heard someone's voice, but my mom just brushed it off, saying, "You're probably hearing some other kids outside or just imagining something. It's nothing." I would look outside, but there was no one. Also, being the child that I was, I 100% believed my mother that I was just imagining things and went back to playing by myself. This happened about once a month or so, but I just trusted my mother and never once responded. One night, my mom, my brother, and I were sitting on the bed doing our nightly prayers like a good little Catholic family that we were. When we were done, my brother Kevin looked up and he said, "Did you guys just hear that?" We asked what he was talking about, and he said, "I just heard someone say, 'Hey, Kevin, come play with me.'"
Oh, no. Okay, 2 people have heard it.
It was about 10 p.m., way too late, and totally rude for a 9-year-old boy to be coming over to hang out with my brother.
Their mom.
My mom again told him that it was his imagination and we needed to go to bed. Not too long after, due to my father's job, we all moved to the U.S. where I still live. After working in the U.S. for about 20 years, my parents retired and went back to the same house where they live today. I recently asked my mom if she remembers this, and she said, "Oh yeah, you used to say that all the time. I used to feel like I was being watched too. Weird, huh? It was probably bored and wanted to hang out." It makes me wonder if whatever was calling for me and my brother mistook our little person-shaped paper for us and took that, or the U.S. was just too far even for ghosts. But after we moved, we never heard anything like that again. And even when I sleep in that house in Japan, no one was trying to get me to hang out. I wish I knew which religion actually protected me so I could be a little bit less religiously indifferent. Thanks for making a podcast for us creepy thing lovers to listen to. Stay creepy and don't respond to a rude ghost who calls for you at bedtime.
Seriously?
Sarah. That was creepy and precious all at the same time.
I know.
She is precious. I loved that.
That is, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, it could have been tied to the house, but then you said you went back, so.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm glad it stopped. But I mean, it could have been, you know, a kind little ghost that just, again, was bored, like her mom said, but still. Ugh.
I don't believe small children anymore. After the things we've been through and read.
That's true.
This is from Karen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She is very active in our Facebook group.
Yes, so, and we appreciate that.
Yep,
Thank you.
We appreciate you, Karen. She said, "My story happened 8 years ago at the company I worked for. The building I worked in was over 100 years old and was located in downtown Rockford, Illinois. I was the lead of the night shift. There were 25 of us working at night. The layout of the building was 2 large open production areas separated by a row of glass offices that the supervisors used. If you were in one of the production areas, you could see through the supervisor's offices to the other production area. Each night at the end of the shift, I and my associate, I will call her Nina, would stay behind after everyone left, locking the building and then spend another hour or so running reports and then walk through the building, turning off all the lights and setting the security systems. That's like my least favorite thing to do.
Close up shop.
By the way.
Yep.
One night, Nina and I were sitting at our desks when I noticed someone walking on the other side of the glass in the other production area. It was a man, and he was moving silently toward the back of the office. At that moment, Nina said, "Who is that?" So she saw it too.
Yeah.
There should not have been anyone in the building as we had locked it and only maintenance and our bosses had keys to the building. We both got up to go investigate. No,
don't
you
do that.
run.
Yeah, don't do that.
You leave. Set the security alarm. Something.
Call the police. Yes, have them investigate.
But I guess if they were thinking maybe somebody was still in the building, they didn't want to lock them in.
Yeah.
So I can understand. But girls.
Typical horror movie,
Right.
101. Don't do that.
Okay, so we walked to the other area and found no one. The direction... I almost said erection. Oh my God.
That would have taken a turn.
Yes, it would.
All right.
Straight.
Oh, wait. Wow. Didn't...
The direction he... My face is so red. Okay.
Okay, the erection.
I was about to do it right. The direction he had been walking in led to a stop nodding.
I just pictured his erection meeting it.
Isn't that what they do?
Yes, they do.
Okay. The direction he had been walking in led to a back wall with no exits. We both looked at each other and said, "You saw that, right?" We were freaked out, so we decided to lock up and leave. Several weeks passed without incident. Then one night, as Nina and I were doing our late night routine, I heard a noise coming from the hallway just to the left of me. In that hallway were the restrooms. The restrooms in the building had keypads, so only employees could use them. I stepped into the hall and distinctly heard the paper towel holder being used in the men's room.
Mm-hmm.
This was a manual dispenser, not one that ran automatically.
That makes it creepier, yeah.
Yes, it is. I called to Nina to come quick. We were both standing outside the men's room waiting to see who was in the building. Minutes passed without anyone coming out, and it was quiet. Finally, I tapped on the door asking, "Who's in there?" No answer. In several more minutes, I finally pushed the buttons on the keypad and opened the door. It was dark. I flipped on the light and found about 15 feet of paper towel hanging from the towel dispenser. Needless to say, Nina and I made a quick exit.
Oh.
We never had another experience, but after telling our story to our coworkers, several people admitted to have seen the man in the past. I no longer work in that building, but often wonder if the ghost is still there. That's terrifying, Karen.
Karen, next time I come home, because my hometown is Rockford, please take me there. And let's do an investigation.
Okay, and then we have a story from another Karen as well that we're going to include because it was short and sweet and happy. Yes. So it was after the first volume of listener stories, she sent us a sweet little one because we talked about our grandpas.
I remember. I did read this one, but I'm excited to hear it again.
This is my grandparents' story, which I firmly believe was an actual visit from my grandparents' spiritual energy on their way to heaven, the next plane, spiritual stage, whatever you choose to call it. I was especially close to my maternal grandparents and still think of them regularly and fondly, even though I lost grandma when I was 12 and grandpa when I was 22. She said I'm 44 now. My name is Karen, but my grandpa called me Katie. Oh, mine did too.
He called you Katie?
Yeah.
Oh.
As in Katie did it. It drove my mom crazy, which made my bond with him even closer. It gave us our thing.
Oh.
Anywho, 5 or 6 years after, she actually typed anywho. I love that, Karen. Anywho, 5 or 6 years after Grandpa passed, I was sleeping and had a very surreal and profound dream. Air quotes, because I know it was a real experience and not an actual dream.
Oh.
My family has always been outdoorsy, and I grew up camping with large groups of family on the regular. So I feel like that is why...
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, that's our worst nightmare, the outdoors.
But I'm happy that other people enjoy it. Okay.
So I feel like that is why they chose to come to me like they did. It was a very real and familiar setting. Like the camper I was in was actually the one I owned at the time, and the place we were camped was the place we had camped as a family for many years. I was in my camper and heard a vehicle pull up. I opened the door to my cousins, who also had a special connection with said grandparents, to encourage them to come in and stay with us. As I was standing on the top step, I looked around camp at the various campers, tents, etc., and was surprised to see my grandma and grandpa's motorhome parked in front of us. The surprise was because in that moment, I knew that they had passed years ago and that their motorhome was no more, but there it was. I walked up to it and stepped up on the running board on the passenger side to look in, and there sat my grandparents. I got an overwhelming, peaceful feeling that enveloped my entire being like a warm glow. It was amazing. And I said, "Hi, Grandma and Grandpa, what are you guys doing here?" Grandpa was looking at me with his kind eyes and grizzled whiskers. His trademark. He loved to give us grandkids whisker burn when we'd give him a kiss on the cheek. And Grandma looked at me with a soft smile and simply said, "It's time for us to go now." I just had this deep gut understanding that she was telling me that they were moving on and that everything was A-okay for them. I smiled and replied, "I know, I love you," and stepped off the running board. I immediately woke up in my bed, still feeling that overwhelming sense of peace. I still cry comforting tears when I think of it and tell the story because it was so real. They gave me an amazing gift of knowing without a doubt that there is something wonderful in the next phase for us, and that they are going to be there waiting for me at camp when it's my time to go be with them.
That is so comforting.
Oh,
that was a very, very precious story. And that she still is touched by it today shows just how real it was to her. That's
and there's
amazing.
her grandparents at the bottom.
No, so
They're
cute.
so cute.
Oh, they are a very handsome couple. All right. I love that we're getting a mix today. All right. Next story here is from a listener named Ruby. And she included a little drawing here because I have not read the story yet, but I assume this is very important to the story. So we will, maybe we can figure out a way to include that in an album.
Yeah,
maybe?
I mean, she sent the picture to
or
us.
post it. Yeah, so we'll let you guys see it there. So maybe
Rachel's
you can
not the techie person.
Is there a way to somehow put a picture somewhere
that was
in our
already on
group?
the internet? Back on the internet?
How do you do that? I mean, if there's a way to somehow do it, then we'll figure it out. Okay, we're not. We're making fun of me, not anyone else.
No,
just
no.
because I am very incompetent. All right, so your story begins. When I was a little girl, I lived on an Indian reservation in North San Diego County. Although I'm not Native American, there was a lady who rented plots on her land to us. We had a trailer house that was situated on that plot, and my dad is a mechanic who ran his shop at our house just a few yards away from the trailer. Just to set the stage, on our plot there were 3 trailers. When driving into the property, on the right was my dad's shop, complete with a tool shed and office, and on the left were the 3 trailers. When facing the 3 trailers, the main one that my parents, my sister, and I lived on was on the left. In the middle, there was a trailer that my aunt, uncle, and 2 cousins lived in. They rented the plot of land with us. And there was also another tiny trailer, kind of like the ones that you would hook up to a truck and take on vacation, which was on the right. That was what we called the Hotel Cinco Estrellas, for you English speakers, 5-star hotel. I probably butchered it.
We are the aforementioned English speakers.
Again, we were very, very worldly in our beginning, so this is very fitting with me trying to speak another language. It was where family members would stay when they visited also. Our plot was the last plot on that street, so naturally, behind the property was a junkyard, and to the left, behind the houses, was a huge grass field with a single dirt road leading to the junkyard. I'm going to give you this piece of paper.
Did you just lick it?
I licked my fingers to help separate the
I just
pages.
heard
This is MSR.
ASMR.
ASMR.
Clearly, we'll never be doing one of those episodes.
We've just lost like 800 followers there. If we had 800.
We don't have 800 to lose.
Sorry, guys. Between the first 2 trailers was a sort of path, which was technically like each of our front patios. My dad built a roof connecting the 2 trailers so that we had shade, and that was where everyone hung out. My family was very superstitious. We are Mexican, after all. Legends like the...
I love that.
We are Mexican. This is so offensive. I'm offending everyone.
She said it, and she is, so it's not offensive.
Rachel's having a complex night, so fantastic.
Okay. Rachel just really doesn't want to offend anyone.
Really, like, that is one of my biggest fears, is offending people. Okay. My family is very superstitious. We are Mexican, after all. Legends like the Cucoy, La Llorona.
Okay, La Llorona. That's La Llorona, but
Los Duendes, and so on were our childhood bedtime stories. I would have fit in very well having those childhood bedtime stories. Our property used to flood constantly when I was growing up, so hearing La Llorona's wails was terrifying.
Wait, you heard them, Ruby?
I know I've heard her a few times during those days. I used to have a nightmare of running through that junkyard in the dead of night and running from someone or something. However, there was one story that my aunt used to tell us that terrified me the most. To this day, whenever I go visit my dad, who still lives there, I refuse to go outside after midnight. It's about a little boy. He has horns, hoofs for feet, and glowing red eyes. He is some kind of devil, maybe the devil. My aunt
ain't a little boy. I can tell you that.
No, he's not. My aunt would say that he roams the field at night looking to take someone's soul. Even as I type this, I can see him so vividly in my mind's eye. Probably because I know I've seen him standing in the field behind my house. Whoa, Ruby!
I am never visiting you.
Actually, Ruby, I would love to go with you the next time you visit your family. Because what kind of kid listens when your parents say not to go out after dark? It's so true.
I mean, I did, but I was not a rule breaker.
And that's why I'm the corrupting friend. One Saturday when I was about 9 or 10, I had forgotten to wash my clothes for the next day. My parents had left for the casino down the road with my aunt and uncle. My cousins were in their house, and between their house and the field was our washer in a little shed. It was dark out, probably around 11:30, and we didn't have a dryer, so we just had the lines to hang the clothes on. The only light on was the one on the patio. As I opened my front door, I got ready. I planned out a path in my mind and bolted for the shed to turn on the light. Oh, you are so brave. I would not have done them. I wouldn't have done them. Maybe in the bathtub. I would have washed them in the bathtub. Yes, I was one of those people who runs to turn on the light, and if I don't get it on the first try, I run back to safety and try again. Unfortunately for me, the doors to the shed were closed, so I had to try it a couple of times.
Oh, I'm the same way.
I know. First to open the door, and then to run in and pull the string. I sighed in relief once I knew I was safe. There was still a few yards of darkness between the porch and the shed, so I ran back to get my basket and then back to throw in my clothes and turn on the washer. I refused to look over at the field. I don't blame you. Since we were out in the country, I could hear crickets and the occasional animals scurrying around the other side of the fence behind the shed. Just the normal sound I had grown up with, nothing out of the ordinary. My German shepherd, Pantera, was already put away in her doghouse. Oh, I would definitely take my dog with me to do anything like that.
And I love her name.
Pantera?
Yes.
The cats were inside the house and the birds were asleep in their cage. You had a lot of friends, a lot of furry friends growing up. An hour later, after midnight now, I ran back to the shed once I heard the washer finish. I started taking the clothes out and hanging them on the line. And in the dark, sometimes where the lights didn't exactly reach, and it wasn't until I was halfway through that I realized it was quiet, a little too quiet than what it normally is. I stopped what I was doing and looked around. It was a strange kind of quiet, the kind where you can hear a weird ringing in your ear and the subtle beat of your heart, which at some point started to sound a bit louder and faster. How come our readers are such great writers?
I was just thinking,
our listeners,
this is so good.
This is fantastic. I mean, not when you're living it, but
for us, it's fantastic.
You guys are such good writers. I felt an oppressing weight suddenly, and my spine stiffened, and then I heard it, the sound of grass crunching under someone's feet. My back was to the field, and I could hear it getting louder and louder. When I finally found the balls to turn around, I saw nothing. There was no animal or person behind me. But when I looked up a ways farther out, I saw red. 2 glowing red orbs staring back at me, and the outline of a figure with 2 horns, two horn-looking things at the top. Kayla, can you make that sound again?
I don't even know. I don't know how that sound came out of my body, but it is how I feel.
It wasn't solid, more like a shadow, as if it was in the.
It just turned into a smoker.
Okay, this is really scary, and we're totally derailing yet again.
I'm nervous, and it's like just turning into giggles. Okay.
It wasn't solid, more like a shadow, as if it was in the middle of forming itself. As I stared, it continued to take form, and when it was done, it looked just like the figure my aunt had constantly warned us about. I was frozen in place, and I didn't know what I was seeing, but it felt horrible, like a huge weight was on my chest. Kayla!
I was trying so hard. You know, you get like going, you can't stop. I was trying so hard to be quiet. Yeah.
We just had to take a break because we got so scared.
We just got like one of those giggle attacks. And I was like in the background, far away from the mic, just crying, laughing.
And I was trying so hard. But man, this is really scary. And it really got to us.
And I was like, why was I laughing? I don't know.
I think our nerves. I think it just it hit a nerve and we were scared.
Good job, Ruby.
She's a good storyteller.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so the last thing I heard was horns and a shadow forming.
Oh, that was two glowing red orbs staring back at me, and the outline of a figure with two horn-looking things at the top. It wasn't solid, more like a shadow, as if it was in the middle of forming itself.
Why are you laughing?
As I stared, it continued to take form, and when it was done, it looked just like the figure that my aunt had constantly warned us about. I was frozen in place, and I didn't know what I was seeing, but it felt horrible, like a huge weight was on my chest. I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't hear anything but the sound of my heartbeat and that horrible ringing in my ears. When it took a step towards me, oh no.
Oh, God.
I began to hear my dog growling.
No, when the dog confirms it.
Oh my gosh, it gets worse. It gets worse.
Of course it does.
I could hear her scratching at her doghouse trying to get out, and the birds started ruffling their feathers, sounding more and more anxious as the thing started to move. I, of course, was still frozen in place. That is until it started running at me.
No!
I finally snapped out of it, grabbed my basket, and took off towards the front door. I could hear it stomping, getting closer and closer until I finally got to the house. Slammed the door shut behind me, and then ran right into my sister when I tried to run to my room. I was hysterical. She was confused. It was the first time that my sister had ever held me as I cried, and I tried to explain through hiccups and snot running down my nose. Girl, ever since then, I refused to go outside after midnight. Now, you're probably wondering why I grabbed the basket and not just left it there. Even in my terror, I was raised by Mexicans. If I left that damn basket full of clothes outside and had to wash them again, I would have gotten yelled at. And I'd rather hang the rest of my clothes on the shower rail than have to waste water and wash them again because they sat wet in a laundry basket outside overnight. Also,
I love you, Ruby.
too. Also, the whole first time she held me thing is literal. My sister terrorized me as a kid. She absolutely hated me and abused me at any chance she got. So it goes to show exactly how terrified I was that she was trying to comfort me. To lighten things up for you guys a bit, here's another story that
I'm sorry we've been laughing through the whole thing.
That's actually comforting. I want to be Ruby's friend.
I know. Can we be friends, Ruby?
Yes, please. Sincerely. At least for me anyways. Okay, comforting for her anyways. As a kid, my dad would always go to Tijuana on Sundays and come back Monday night. I used to have night terrors whenever I slept in my parents' room, so my mom finally stopped making me sleep in there with her when he would leave. As you may know, there are a lot of battles fought on native lands around California, and in the middle of the night we could hear marching outside, somewhere around 2 or 3 in the morning. It would wake my oldest sister whenever she would visit and stay in the Hotel Cinco Estrellas. Shut up, Kayla. I think I said it right. We were used to it, so we didn't wake up to it. It seemed like within that night, nightly patrol was a guardian of sorts for me. He would come up to our front door with his heavy-booted footfalls, walk to my parents' door, stop, turn around to my sister's door, stop, and then walk all the way over to the other side of the trailer through the kitchen and bathroom and stop at my door.
This was comforting.
Girl. He would then proceed to open my locked door and check up on me. He would usually stay in my room for a little while, and then he would walk, but we have very different views on comforting things.
Seriously? I guess when you're chased by the horned demon that wants to take your soul, then maybe the ghost man that opens your door and checks on you is comforting.
That's true. So he would stay for a while, and then he would walk back out through the bathroom, the kitchen, and out the door. I would always wake up the next day with my previously locked door open just a crack. Now you may say, how do you know it wasn't your dad checking up on you when he got back from Tijuana? Well, it would be impossible since it only ever happened on Sunday nights when he was already back in Mexico asleep in his bed 75 miles away. My mom or sister did not wear heavy boots, and at this point, my aunt and uncle had moved out and no longer lived in the trailer. There's also the whole deadbolt locked door. I know. Yeah. I know I had some sort of guardian looking after me. I could feel its presence in my sleep. It only ever went into my room, never my mom's or my sister's. So with that being said, I may have had something evil in that field, but I have something truly good in my yard and in my house. It was strange that it only happened while my dad was gone, but I was grateful for those night patrols. It was like he knew I felt restless when my dad was not home. Okay, that is comforting. Side note, I did look up the property on Google Earth, but so much has changed from when I was a kid that it would have been confusing, so I drew a picture using my Samsung Notes. That's the best I could do. It's actually a really good picture. It helped explain things a lot and show us the area, so we will include that. That was a great story. Ruby, you really got us. Girl, you got us.
So sorry. Oh, it wasn't even funny. It was just so scary.
Like, that's why the listener stories episodes are so great, because you know that shit's real.
Right.
And that's what makes it so terrifying.
Yep. Yeah, it's not just pulling a story off the internet. It's people sending them, So
yeah.
it's crazy.
Okay. This is my last story. And it is from Jade. She says, "Hello, ladies. My name is Jade, and I am from..." Oh, she's from Canada. Now I get to butcher this. Guelph, Ontario. I recently came across your podcast on Spotify while searching for paranormal stories. I clicked through a lot, and yours is my favorite. Thank you. Thank you,
so
Jade.
nice.
I feel like when I read these intros, we're like about to give advice. Like this is an advice column or something.
Definitely not an advice column.
We probably have the worst advice on this stuff. So she said, "I myself have some paranormal stories. The first one being a trip my family and I took to Kincardine, Ontario. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. My family is really into the paranormal and ghost walks. That's cool because my family isn't.
Yes,
and
same. Neither is mine.
I feel like I'm catching up on so many years of things with Rachel.
Sorry, Kayla's mom.
My mom booked a ghost walk at this hotel in Kincardine, the Madison Hotel, which is now closed. The husband and wife team were guiding this tour. When the tour started, there was probably 20 of us there, and we started in the main hallway, which the woman explained that where we were standing was the portal. Comforting! Nothing happened when going around it, etc. She then guided us to the next room, but I was at the end of the line with this other younger boy. I was 16 at the time, and we both heard a whisper but could not make out what was said, and we knew it was no one else because there was the main door behind us and everyone else was in the other room. We both looked at each other, didn't say anything, but gave the look of, "Did you hear that?" He ran off to his mom, as did I, and explained what happened. The next room we went in was apparently a child's room, and it was closed off with a gate. The woman guiding the tour said there is a child spirit that occupies this room. This room was filled with toys from top to bottom, from people mailing them in. The guide asked for the spirit to make a present. There was a spinning object that was hanging from the ceiling, and at one point was not moving at all. But once she asked, the toy just started spinning, and this was not a battery-operated toy. This was just a plain hanging toy. This house at one time you were able to stay in as a bed and breakfast. We went upstairs to another room where she showed us this chair and warned all of us, "Do not sit in the chair in the corner."
Oh.
Guests who sat in that chair fell terribly ill.
Oh, I thought you said guess who sat in that chair, and I was like, no, you didn't.
Guests.
Okay, got it.
Guests who sat in that chair fell terribly ill. She then guided us up this small staircase where you could look out the top of the house. It was said that a woman would always look out at that top window waiting for her husband to return home, but did not, so now people will often see this woman standing there. The last part of the tour was a seance. What?
I want to go on this tour so
I knew you would. Everyone at the table ended up speaking to a family member, etc.
Where is this? Where is it? And
It's in Kincardine, Ontario.
I don't even have a passport.
You don't?
No, I can't go.
Well, you can get
I
a
could
passport.
get a passport.
Okay, so
This is my favorite episode.
I know. Okay, so we were in pitch black, and of course we were sitting at the back of the table, and I was at the end when the guide was asking questions. There were noises coming from the parlor, and we were in complete silence. We also smelled cigar smoke from the same area we heard the noise. She also said that when trying to take a picture of the outside of the house, no one can capture the house because the pictures come back all smoky. So, of course, my mom and dad were taking pictures like everyone else.
Yes.
Also, it was a beautiful summer night, clear skies. We were using disposable cameras. It was 2008 in parentheses. You didn't have a camera that you took everywhere with you? I had like it was a shiny blue Nikon that they had back in that day.
Yeah.
You know those cameras?
Yeah. I had one of those.
Yeah. When my mom got the pictures back, they were all smoky. Could not tell there was a house there. If I find the photo, I will most certainly send it
yes,
in. Please
please
do.
do.
I was hoping it was going to be
see it. I
tacked
wanna
on the other
see it.
side. So now this bed and breakfast is closed. We were told the woman that owned it got really sick.
Oh, jeez.
But it wouldn't surprise me because she was heavily into the Ouija board, etc. Rachel wants to get a Ouija board.
I almost bought one the other day.
No, you didn't. When we did the seance that night, she didn't use a board. She drew a star with a circle around it and swung a pendulum. There was a certain way you had to draw this because one way would allow demonic entities in.
Be very precise. Wow.
Don't try that at home, kids. Okay, so that was that story. The next story I have is from this time I went cleaning with my dad. He used to have his own company. This house was in the older end of town by the University of Guelph. I don't know if
I'm
saying
so
that
glad I'm not the only one struggling with pronouncing things tonight.
The house from the outside looked like the Golden Girls house.
Aw.
I love the Golden Girls. I'm totally
Of course
Dorothy.
you did.
I'm totally Dorothy. Did you ever watch it?
No.
It's on Hulu. I just started watching.
I mean, I tried and because I was talking to a friend about this today. Back in the day, you didn't have choice on what was on TV. You didn't have a choice to just pull something up on Netflix. You just had to watch what was on. And every time it was on, I was like, no.
It's actually really funny. My dad told me this house was going up for sale and we had to clean it. But the owners, before the wife committed suicide by hanging in the bathroom in the basement. She put that in caps. Jade, you know how we feel about basements. My dad had one of the other guys that work for him go and do the carpet cleaning first. My dad got a call the next day from Andrew asking if I or my dad went to the house last night or this morning because all the doors were shut and the living room light was on, to which my dad told him no. My dad and I went to the house in the evening to check over the work after Andrew finished. But when we got there, the front door was open. And so my dad called Andrew and he said no. He made sure to lock everything up like he did the last time. The next day, it was my dad, my boyfriend at the time, and me cleaning. I always had bathroom duty, so I had to clean the bathroom in the basement. And this bathroom is the one where she died.
Oh, that would be so disturbing.
It was bubblegum pink. This house was really outdated. While I was cleaning it, the entire time I had the urge to just run upstairs. I just hated being down there alone. Nothing down there freaked me out except the vibe I was getting. Girl, I know that feeling.
Yes.
It wasn't until I had to clean the bathroom upstairs that things got weird. This bathroom was that minty green with the small tiles on the wall, and it was off the living room. So if I were to walk out, I would be in the living room. Anyways, me being a smart-ass teen of 17 years old and knowing of what happened in this house, I started saying, who gives a shit about these ghosts, and just taunting it.
Oh, gosh.
Why, Jade? I was cleaning.
Bold move, lady. It's a
I know.
bold move.
A dangerous one. I was cleaning the bathroom mirror while I was saying this to my boyfriend when the lights above the mirror started flickering like crazy. I freaked out and got out of the bathroom, but I still had to finish. So my dad and I were in that living room across from the bathroom. I finished cleaning and we were working on the windows. We had a perfect view of the front entrance of the house. Richard, my boyfriend, was supposed to be cleaning the kitchen when my dad and I both saw him walking out of the house. My dad goes, "Where is he going?" I said, "I don't know. I'll go see." And I went to go see, and he was right in the hall.
Oh.
Another time I was coming home from a late night out with friends, etc. It was around 2 to 3 a.m. We have this table in the fancy room upstairs, and if you put your legs on it or whatnot, it makes a pretty loud noise. Also, there is hardwood. So my room is in the basement, and I was heading to the bathroom, and right outside my bathroom, there's a mirror. And I was taking a look at myself when I heard the biggest bang from upstairs, and no one was up but me. This bang sounded like as if someone had their feet resting on the table and then dropped them on the floor. It scared me senseless. She's got 2 more stories. Girl,
Wow,
you have some experiences with the
through
paranormal.
something, that's for sure.
So this one I didn't experience myself, but it's one my cousins and aunt had happened to them, and this is the only one from which has happened to them.
It's the only thing paranormal.
So it was around 11 p.m., and my cousin's boyfriend had been drinking, and he started to go off about how he thinks our family doesn't like him, and then he started picking on my cousin. My aunt stepped in, and they had a really intense yelling fight, and as this was happening, the energy must have been so intense because all the lights and fire alarms just all went off. The fire department ended up showing up and could not figure out what or why it happened. Okay, I'm going to tell just a little side note. When I was like 6 or 7 years old, I went to stay at my great-grandmother's house with my mom and my grandmother, and she had a security alarm system. And I was like pitching a fit and stomping my feet, and they were like, "You better stop. You know, you're gonna get in trouble." And I apparently stomped so hard that I shook the window panes.
Oh, jeez.
And the security alarm went off. And it was like, intruder, intruder, intruder.
I bet that terrified you into behaving like a little angel.
Seriously. And so the police had to come out.
Oh, yeah.
And check the house. And they did say it looked like somebody had been under the window. Like there was like mulch and leaves and it was kind of like flattened.
Oh.
But they wondered if maybe like a dog just came up and laid around. But I was just like, okay. I was a 6 or 7 year old girl in the living room and they were saying that I shook the window in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So
Poltergeisty, maybe.
I know, that's what I'm saying. When you're throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
Okay, last story. This happened a couple weeks ago. I was scrolling on YouTube and I wanted to watch some ghost adventures. Same. I saw a video I've never seen before with Zach. And it was called The Demon House.
Oh, yep.
We've seen this.
Yep.
So me being curious, I clicked on it, and the first thing that shows up was a disclaimer stating something about if you choose to watch this video, please be aware that these spirits are capable of going through cell phones, computers, etc.
Yep.
Because they're demons.
Didn't heed that warning
Yeah.
myself. I did not.
As soon as I read that, I paused the video and read the comments, of course. The comments were saying people were getting sick after watching it, but who knows? I wasn't going to take a chance. I didn't watch it. So I told my dad about the video. He didn't seem bothered about it. My computer just shut down on me when having a full battery writing this, by the way.
Oh, jeez.
So my dad watched the video and I wasn't going to stay the night when this happened. So I stayed at my fiance's house. I got a text at 4 a.m. from my dad. He sent me a video that something was picked up on the cameras at our other property.
Oh.
It was a big orb just casually floating around in the driveway where it just disappeared. I could not get back to sleep when I saw that and my mind kept racing. When I slowly started to fall asleep, I had a wickedly vivid dream. I was laying how I was in my dream as I was when I went to sleep. But in my dream, I saw a fly, so I hid under the covers and told my fiance, go, get it out. And when I lifted my head from the sheets, the room was swarmed with flies. At first, I was like, why are you bothered by a fly? But then I was like, oh, the demon thing.
Yeah.
And I was yelling for my fiance to try and get rid of them, but he wasn't answering me. She was still dreaming. Mm-hmm. Then I see this dark figure float up and under my bed where I was feeling claws scratched through the bottom of the bed and up to behind my legs. It felt like they were on fire. I remember screaming, but Chris would not come. I finally woke up and Chris was like, are you okay? Are you okay? Which I remember smiling and said yes. It was the weirdest thing.
Oh, jeez. Very disturbing.
Seriously. I mean, I watched Demon House. Do you remember that having a warning?
I do remember it having a warning. Yep.
But I just blazed right past
I was
that.
like, yeah.
Well,
Get to
now
the
what?
good stuff.
After what we know,
I know.
I'm shocked I didn't get affected. Honestly.
Oh, thank you for sending that story in.
Yes.
Those stories. Those were intense. All right. This is my last story and the last story of the episode. This is from a listener named Tom. It begins, to whom it may concern. I found your podcast yesterday and I'm greatly enjoying listening to them. I enjoy your back and forth banter with each other as y'all discuss each of them. Being Catholic, there are many supernatural things that I do not believe in and will not allow the thought of said things being even real. However, with being Catholic and believing in God, it means that I must believe in the fallen angel Satan and his demons that prowl the earth seeking the ruin of souls. Demons are real. However, with being Catholic and believing in God, it means that I must believe in the fallen angel Satan and his demons that prowl the earth seeking the ruin of souls. Demons are real, and I pray that they never tear apart my family. I would like to tell you a ghost story if you would like to read about it. I'll give you a little background first. This was not an isolated event, but took place all over the facility. Back in 2004 to 2006, I worked at Fort Walton Beach's Gulf Coast Youth Academy, a juvenile delinquent facility, years prior to it being a juve hall. It was a local hospital, and then it was a mental patient facility, and then juve hall. Currently, it is a mental treatment facility for young girls. The kids' room had no doors and were at an angle, and most room entrances faced each other. I never found the exact details, but as it was told to me by previous staff back when the facility was a mental hospital, a young girl, less than 10, hung herself back in the back wing D500, and ever since her spirit could not or would not leave the building, but instead had fun there long before I started working there, and I'm sure long after I left. I sometimes wonder if she is still there messing with the current residents. I'd forgotten her name while I was working there and started calling her Sarah. Sarah used to enjoy messing with all the staff at night, and she would cause the phones in the nurse's office, which is the staff's office, to ring, and when answered, there was no response. It became a game to see if Sarah or the shift supervisor that was calling each time. Sarah used to enjoy messing with the staff at night, and she would cause the phones in the nurse's office, which is the staff's office, to ring, and when answered, there was no response. It became a game to see if it was Sarah or the shift supervisor that was calling each time. We couldn't not answer in case it was the supervisor. Sarah calling was so commonplace that many times after I would pick up the phone to her call, I'd tell Sarah everything is okay, hang up, and get back to walking my mod. And that's the wing of the facility to check on the kids. One night while I was walking D500, I was walking and reading a book. All of the kids were asleep and it was late at night. I saw out of the corner of my eye one of the kids run out of the room and run into the room next to that room. I stormed in there ready to yank a kid out of there, and when I looked in, all the kids were asleep. I checked the built-in bathroom, no kids in there. Walked to the room that I saw the kid run out of, and all of those kids were there. I did a quick check of the full mod, and all the kids were asleep. My only response, okay, Sarah, you got me. Because I had known about Sarah from my first night working, and knowing about her messing with staff with the phones, Sarah messing with me didn't scare me. Sarah was not an isolated event, and all of the kids that lived on D500 saw her at some point, and all of the staff knew about Sarah messing with the phones. I don't hunt for ghosts. I am in the military, so I don't spread around my ghost story, so I'm called that crazy guy. I'm sure if you found some staff from back then, they would have stories of their own. Very respectfully, Tom.
Well, at least Sarah's a nice ghost.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
She wasn't threatening. She just wanted to play some games.
Yes, if I ever encounter a ghost, I would definitely like it to be of the Sarah variety and not of some of the others that we have read tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, well, thank you guys. And I think we have about breezed through all of the listener stories, or at least most of them. So if you like these episodes, because we sure do, we have a lot of fun. Please send in your experiences to goodlucksleepingpodcast@gmail.com.
Also, if there's no creepy music in this, it's because I edited it and then realized with all the laughter, there was no way I could put creepy music. So
That's okay.
sorry.
We can just skip it this time. I know this is going to be an editing heavy episode because, we got a little crazy tonight.
But I'm excited about it.
Me too. We really did enjoy these stories. We enjoy, reading about you guys. And thanks again. Good luck sleeping, guys.
Good luck sleeping.